Hey, guys, this is the best U Nation, and you have your boys, Finn and Adler. Finn, my guy, my friend, how are you feeling, man? How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I am alive. It's a new day to be the best version of myself. We are on the second episode of the year, and I
Mhm.
can't complain, man. I went to the gym this morning,
How was
and
that? What was the pre post meal like?
post meal was good. It was a taco salad. Had
Okay.
that vegan chorizo. So for all y'all who are out there who probably did or did not know this, last year we did vegan. Cassandra and I decided that we were starting January 1st being vegan again, going back to that lifestyle. But vegan chorizo, it's all low calories. So the biggest thing was like low calorie, high protein. I had a protein shake, an apple. I had an orange too, but I'll save it for later. But it feels good. It feels good going to the gym, hurting, knowing that you've worked out a muscle group. Because I'll tell you, I did triceps yesterday. What?
You're like, it's just hurting.
Well, I went yesterday and I worked on. I did like triceps, biceps, and like my back. Like I try to incorporate back and shoulder as much as I can. So I just kind of choose one area, then I add the back or add shoulders to whatever the workout is. So I did dips, and I feel it like really, really bad. So then I did chest
Is it one of
today.
those things like like when you gotta shampoo your hair and you're like, your arms just feel so heavy you can't even shampoo
Yeah,
them?
like it's like doing this, like washing my hair earlier would hurt. I have a lot of hair right now, so um but no, man, it was something Cassandra and I both talked about. We said that we were going to start working out again. Like that's something that we were going to do. Hit the vegan diet. Um I personally feel better just in the 2 weeks. I've actually lost 4 or 5 pounds already, just
Nice.
switching and taking dairy out of my diet. It's kind of crazy. I was eating cheese a lot during the holidays. I indulged on pepper jack cheese, which I haven't had in a very long time. So
Mhm.
that was nice. Um, but just I don't know. It's this is a very unique year. A lot of big things happening, especially towards the fall time of this year. So I'm preparing myself physically. I want to be at the best of my physique that I've ever been in my adult years. Because I don't really count being 18. 18, you're gonna always look. I mean, at least I did. I looked jacked. I looked ripped at 18. But then, like when you actually start doing stuff, life happens. So you start. That's the real test. Is at 25.
When
Like,
it
where are you at?
I think it's more so like you start to think to yourself like when this actually counts, when it's actually important for you to work out, and you're not just working out to try to be big or try
Well,
to
you didn't have to even work
perform.
out at 18. You just had to walk around a little bit. And I had a six pack because I didn't have to do much.
Yeah,
Now you got to put the work in. You got to put the hours in and clock in and
this is
clock out to
yeah.
get the gains. So, we were talking about it last week. Like being the best version of you is not a goal or a destination. Sorry, better word. It's not a destination. It's a long term. Like it's
It's
a
a
journey.
lifestyle.
So yeah, exactly. So I've been trying to focus on that, and so far the results. I mean, I don't really want to count 2 weeks of results, but I will say I feel overall my body can. I feel better.
So
Just my
let me ask you this: what's the best feeling that you've like gotten from consistently working out and just kind of tweaking the diet? Like, what's the best feeling? Like, is it
like
sleep?
ever or like in the last 2 weeks.
Like in the last 2 weeks, like is it like better sleep, more energy? Is it like less bloating? Is it like so what about it, like what about it that you're just like, man, I like this a lot?
I just feel less inflamed. I know what inflammation feels like because I
Mhm.
had it. Then went vegan last year and I started feeling lighter, but I also felt like I wasn't constantly. I don't know how to describe it. I just didn't. I don't feel as exhausted. I think when you're inflamed, you also are more tired because you're dragging a little bit more. I feel
Yeah.
like so. I don't know. I never really slept good anyway, so sleep is just one of those things I'm gonna have. It's actually on my resolutions list. It is something that I need to be more proactive about.
Hmm.
Um, But I will say I did add something to my to-do list. And thanks to you, I've actually added Zero back to my phone, the fasting
Nice,
app. And I've been fasting every single
nice.
day since the last time we hung out, was last week.
Yep.
And I think that has been a big game changer too. So I will say fasting from 10 to 10, even though we've been eating at 8:30, 9 o'clock, I still start my fast and I still count it from 10 to 10. Like that means I'm really fasting about 14 hours.
Yeah.
So to really answer your question, I feel like I have more energy. I don't feel as exhausted, like
What's
physically
been
exhausted.
what's been the hardest part of like actually getting back into the routine?
Stair climbers,
The what?
stair climbers.
Stair climbers.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you do the stairs. Okay.
I do the stairs for 15 minutes, man.
Man,
Those
those are
I
intense.
wanted to quit like 65 times yesterday. I was like, oh, I can just go to 10 minutes. I'll be fine. I was at like 6 minutes. And I'm like, oh man. And it's like I have it at like a 6 or 7 speed, and I'm like throwing my leg back, and I'm like, oh no. And then I get to 13 minutes, and I'm like, all right, okay. I got past 10. I got 2 more. You know what? I can stop at 14 and be all right. Like I mentally wanted to give up so many times. But then I realized when I got off the machine, I will say, as hard as that it was,
Yeah.
it's the dripping of sweat coming off your body, just knowing that the toxins and all the bad inside you just like come to the surface and like leaving your body. So I would say it's not even about going to the gym. It's just doing a workout that you absolutely hate, but you know has a lot of benefits. It's pushing yourself in that exercise, because 15 minutes is really not a long time. Like I was supposed to do 30 minutes, but I
So I'm
wanted to
gonna
start off with 15 and get to
so
15 first.
overall, I just want to just make sure, just to clarify. So, like, the hardest thing has been those stairs, and it's been a struggle. But after you finish those stairs, you feel rewarded, right?
Absolutely, man. I feel
You feel
great.
really good about yourself,
Really
like,
good.
and then like that confidence kind of like you take it from the gym, and it kind of follows you to other aspects
Well,
of
then I
your
got everything done I needed to do on my to-do list yesterday. Like that's the
okay?
crazy thing. Like
Yeah.
I knew I needed to send emails out to the schools to apply for nursing. Like I knew I needed to get some stuff done for our wedding planning. Like there's
Hmm.
just things I had to do. I reached out to my dad, see how he was doing. I chit chat with my mom. Like I just had a lot of energy, and I was able to get stuff. Like I studied too yesterday. Like that was like it feels like you have a second wind, and it sucked in the moment, but after that it was great.
So
But let me
then
ask you. Let me.
you also well, because the reason why I'm asking is because I get like, I obviously get like this euphoric high when I'm physically doing something, or hey Phoebe, when I'm physically doing something, or I'm able to get it like lift some weights, go on a bike ride, go on a run, go swimming, go for a walk. It doesn't matter. I just really just like engaging and getting active. So the reason why I asked you this is because I was going to ask you another follow-up question, because how you feel is how I feel. Like, and I feel like maybe going back to about a year and a half ago, like I started consistently doing that. And how you feel is how I feel almost every day. Like that's how I feel after I come out the gym. That's how I feel, with my energy. And you always ask like questions like, "Oh man, how can you keep going?" It's because it doesn't feel like it's
Sorry,
work.
my
It
mom's
feels
calling
good.
me. I'm just gonna text her. Hold on. I'm listening to you. I just want to let you know. I'm
Oh no,
looking.
no,
I'm
that's
listening.
cool. Yeah, you always got to make sure mom's okay. That's a priority. That's a must. So I get
Oh,
that.
she's leaving a voicemail. It's fine. I wasn't fast enough. Okay.
Oh, yeah. No
So
worries. But I bring that all up to say, you and I were having a discussion pre-recording, right? And I kind of wanted to bring it up just to kind of see, now that you've verbalized and voiced exactly what you voiced, right?
mhm.
You were bringing up about like a lot of mental health has become so cliche and kind of like taboo, right? And how it's just kind of become this thing that everybody's just hopping on and, just either publicizing, but not really being sincere or even trying to like get down to the nitty gritty, the root of it. And you were talking about how people focus more on the physical rather than on the, inner healing that they need. And the first thing that I was thinking to myself as you said that, and I was like, It all just depends on which perspective you're looking from. There's a lot of people that do physical things to physically get them in shape and get their mind right in order to help with the emotions and navigation of the feelings that we have, like with our surroundings. So when you're stressed, you hit the gym and you walk out, you feel a little bit more relieved. When you're anxious, you go for a run, you get your heart rate up, and then you kind of like say, okay, all right, it maybe it isn't that terrible now that I have a chance to, think about it. So in some sense, the act of being physical actually is therapeutic and helps you navigate those emotions. So now my question is, because I know before you had said you had a different standpoint, but now that I bring that up, I'm curious. Like, do you still like? First of all, I guess let everybody kind of know like what you said prior. Now my question becomes, do you agree still?
Okay, so my stance on all this. First of all, we should put an emphasis on the fact that I just feel like, as a society, as humanity, we put mental health and emotional health second to, I feel like, a lot of other the health that we have surrounding us. So that's physical, sexual, whatever health that you embody, that we as people embody. We don't, and this is just my personal belief, that we don't necessarily put an emphasis on mental and emotional health. And yes, I do feel like it's become very taboo. It's become very like, oh, here we go. We can just, but people don't understand, I think. And the reason why is that we're so fast paced in the world we are in now that we don't really necessarily know how to put an emphasis on mental and emotional health, because the way I describe it is it's almost kind of like a battery. And I will talk about that in a little bit, but about more specifically why I think it's a battery, like as far as like the comparison aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was saying off air was just that I think that mental health triggers us to be more cognizant of our physical health. Now, yes, now that you've talked about this and bringing up my working out, yes, physical health, it does go in a circle. I do think it does go in a circle. But my main point was that I do think that in order for us to be more cognizant and focused on the physical aspect of our health, we have to be right with our mind, like mind over body, like, right. That's kind of like what I always believe is like mind over body. Like, in order for you to go to the gym, like I remember I would look at myself in the mirror and I would see the and I'm saying this from a year ago, and even now I still have them. It's a gradual progression,
Okay.
if I can even speak on it. Those muffin tops, or whatever you want to call the love handles, or whatever you want to call them, and they sit there, and you're just like, you look yourself in the mirror, you notice that you have really good arms, but then it's like this other part of your body, like, man, I'm wishing that this part would kind of melt away, because at this point, like, you're jacked everywhere else, but you still have an area of your body that you're still a little insecure about. And so, like, it comes down to in here, like in your mind. I believe that when you're mindful, but you also have a mindset, that falls under that mental category, because you could be discouraged. Oh man, you know what? I feel this way. And feelings and emotions, we've talked about this. Feelings, emotions, and thoughts or feelings and thoughts are processed in the brain. So people who are insecure about their body, which most of us are, we're all insecure about something. But someone who might be insecure about how they look at the gym, compare themselves to other people, and maybe feel like they're kind of like, like I thought I was husky for a while. Like I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym now. But it's because it's all up here in the mental aspect. So it's unhealthy for you to think that you are something that you're not, because there's always an opportunity for you to work at it. So my comment that I made earlier off air was more so geared towards the fact that, like, your physical health does weigh on the fact that you have to be in tune with your mental health and your emotional health. People don't, when you're not right with your mind, how often do you go to the gym? I mean, some people, maybe a slim amount of people, want to go to the gym to be therapeutic. And I love that you do say that, because for me, going to work out is therapeutic, but I always believe it's going to be mind over matter. And I guess that might be where you and I may see things a little differently. like going to the gym, getting up and going to the gym requires you to make a physical move. So if I'm not motivated enough, and motivation stems from the mental aspect of us, then I don't think I'm gonna go to the gym. And we can convince ourselves too, like, today I don't feel so good, I'm under the weather or whatever. And now you've allowed your emotional health to affect your mental health that has now convinced you to be okay with not going to the gym. So now you're missing out on the day. Like today I took an exam and I could have been like bummed hurt about it, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
But I could have been and not gone and worked out. Like actually, I'm not gonna lie, I considered going home. Actually, I wasn't even planning on going to the gym. I was more so just like, I'll do it later. Maybe I'll record out and then I'll just see if he wants to record earlier, and then I'll go to the gym after that. But no, I said, you know what? I'm already out. I have nothing to lose. Let me go to the gym. I'm gonna go work out. Worked out for 45 minutes.
How did you feel after your test?
I was a little, okay, I'm gonna be honest, I was a little like, I know I didn't study as much as I did because I did a review session. Yes, I studied for like a day. It's not really the most amount of studying that I should do, but I scored higher than I did last time. I've seen this format of the test before, but I was a little like, are you serious? Like I was a little like, okay, that's weird. I've seen this version of the test before, but I also wasn't mad. I wasn't disappointed. I was just like, okay, maybe it's just not meant to be. But then it still was like,
it is okay to be disappointed, just in case. Like I know that you wouldn't use that as the verbiage, but it is okay to be disappointed. It's not a bad thing. Like it's a human.
No, I know. I was disappointed in my last exam. This exam, I was really more so just my last opportunity to get into a specific school because they require such a high T exam. Everywhere else that I've already applied doesn't require a very high T's exam score, but all schools have their own requirements. So it wasn't really a disappointment. It was more just so of a shock of like really, like seriously, like this is I've taken this test and I felt really confident when I was taking the test. Like it was in the test that I was like, yeah, this is gonna be good, because there was questions on there that I kind of remembered, but I also like studied so much the last time that I was like, oh, I recognize that. I remembered that. So I wasn't unsure during the test. I was more so just trying to find a way to go and take priority of my day. Like that's essentially what happened after the test. I went and worked out because I felt, hey, I've done my test today, but it's okay. I can go be physical. But
you went in, and I guess you went in and you were kind of like, I guess I would call it, as a lack of a better term, just slightly disappointed. It's not what you expected outcome, so you were surprised.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't like
taken aback. You were taken aback. I wouldn't say
yes, I was. Yes, right? I wasn't like disappointed where I wasn't going to work out, but I definitely wasn't.
I guess my point in bringing that up is you went in feeling one way and you came out feeling a little bit better, even though it did happen, but you were able to process that emotion after you finish getting your pump on.
Yes. Like yes. I feel better. But again,
so the only reason why I bring that up is because you said it. You're like, nah, going to the gym is different for me than it is for you. But the truth is, the difference, there's not much of a difference of how you feel and how I feel. We're more alike than we are unalike, if that makes sense. And that goes for a lot of people, really. And so this is the one point that I will give you about what you said. I agree that we don't prioritize enough the mental aspect of it. And that doesn't necessarily mean, it means being able to do the hard emotional mental work to actually get the healing that you need. That means facing the issue, revisiting some really painful stuff, and actually having to unpack and just twist that. Like, you can do the physical work, but you also need to do the mental work as well. You can't primarily dismiss it. And to your point, a lot of people focus so much more on the physical aspect of things than actually taking the time to be like, hey, I need to do the mental work that it will take for me to be better, to be okay. So that way I'm not triggered for next time. I've experienced this growth. Now that I've seen this before, I have experience and I can build upon that. I didn't know what to expect last time, but this time I know how to expect it. So there is an argument also to be made that when you, and this is just where I'm of the mindset, if you say I struggle with discipline, I struggle with being consistent, I struggle growing or being successful at anything. The easiest thing to do is to whip your body into shape. Because if you are able to physically whip your physical appearance into um, the best shape you could possibly come up, and that's whatever it is for, like it's whatever it is for each individual. But you're at the peak prime physical shape that you feel like you need to be at. You have now shown the world one thing, that you're disciplined physically, which means that you have to be disciplined in other areas of your life, that you're capable of being disciplined in other places. And I feel like a lot of times what ends up happening with like us as humans is we get stuck on like we're going to focus on this, the physical aspect. Now I feel good, I look good, but now I don't have the emotional maturity that comes along with it. Being physically fit is, it's patience. It teaches you patience in your life. It helps you unpack emotions that are struggling, that like this, like you just struggling with yourself. And overall it gives you confidence, and that confidence usually, if you have it in one area of your life, it starts to have like osmosis effect and just touch every single aspect of your life. So I'm not saying that every physical fit person is mentally like stable, we'll say. But I can say confidently that every physical person, like physically fit person that you see, has some form of mental toughness. Like there's a mental toughness that they're able to withstand. And that's the one thing that like I've always just like been mindful of is, if I want to be a tough person in my other areas of life, I need to be tough physically, because I know what it takes physically to take that pain. I can understand how to manage it when emotionally I start to have these stressors. And of course, we don't know how we're going to react for every single thing or every single aspect of life, but it helps kind of give me more of a calmness about facing life instead of being so anxious. Like, I can't believe what it's going to look like. Like, it gives me more of a calmness and be like, okay, so this happened one time. How can I use this as an example for the next stage of life? And I told you this, like, we talked about like fatherhood. I can't tell you how to be a dad. I can't tell anybody how to be a dad because I've never been a dad. But I do know that I identified the traits that my dad had that were great, and I'm going to do my absolute best to reverse engineer those feelings that I felt for my dad, that I'm able to reverse engineer it and make some sort of a pathway for how I want to be as a dad in the future. That doesn't necessarily guarantee that I'll be a good dad. That doesn't necessarily guarantee anything, but that at least gives me a template of what to try to build on. And I think that's kind of the one thing that we don't, as a society, touch on, is if you know, I'm all for body positivity, but I'm also for body accountability as well. You can't just be like, hey, positive, 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 but you have to take accountability for some of it as well. If you had a check-ins account, you wouldn't just spend and swipe, 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 swipe frivolously and then just go completely in the red. You wouldn't do that. It doesn't make any sense. So you also have to have like that form of accountability, and that's just my personal, like, to me, when I say that, what is the best me? The best me is clicking on every single aspect of life. And even if I'm not like on fire, but I've still made progress in every single place because I've at least set out to try. I didn't not try because it's like, well, I can't be perfect, so it's no point in trying. I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to do my best. And we'll see. And some days I have good days and some days I have terrible days, man. Like last week, I had like all that emotional stuff that I had to deal with my mom, my family and stuff. So there was a part of me that was like, hey, I'm uninspired. I don't feel like doing anything today. But I understand it's like, all right, this is how I feel now. So instead of just quitting because this is how I feel currently, let me go physically do something. Nah, I don't feel like quitting. I'm fine now. Like this is like one of the things that I think I was watching somebody on social media. I can't remember who, and I want to give the credit. Um, she was just like, yeah, my daughter was playing basketball, and when she used to play basketball, she really wasn't having fun, and she was self conscious, and she was just miserable. Like miserable for this one game specifically, and she had like a terrible game, and she was just like, "Mom, I had a terrible game. I don't want to play anymore. I want to quit, and I think like I think I'm ready to do that right now." And her mom was just like, "No, how about this? Let's quit when you have a good game, okay?" And she was just like, "But mom, why? Just hear me out. Just quit after you have a good game." She said, "Okay, fine, mom." And so maybe 2 games down the line, she had a really good game where she scored really well, had some rebounds, and she was really good. All her teammates are celebrating her, like they're giving her a pat on the back, and they're giving her a lot of love, a lot of support. And she goes, "Hey, daughter, do you want to quit now?" And she says, "No, mama, no. Why would I want to quit now? I just did something amazing. I can build upon this, and I can feel like this again." My point in saying this is sometimes life is super scary and we want to quit when we're in that emotional state. You can't allow yourself to quit when you're feeling some type of way. If you're going to quit, then you need to find, to be fair, since you know how the negative feelings, how it feels within, you understand that it's only fair to wait until you have positive feelings and then see which one outweighs one or the other. Does this negative feeling that you had back then, does that supersede this positive euphoric feeling that you have right now? And usually if you actually took the time to do that, you probably stick with the hard things in your life. You probably, you know, overall be in a better off spot. So to me, it just makes sense to put in the work mentally, but also put in the work physically. It's a balance of both. We can't primarily dismiss one or we can't lean one way or the other. We have to actually like take accountability for all aspects of life.
I don't even know what to add or where to interject. Um, I do like the fact that you make a point about having it. It sounds like you're talking about a balance between the both.
Yeah.
Having the physical, having the mental, having the emotional. Um, you know, I guess one of the examples I kind of brought up at the beginning, the constant battle that I have at the gym is when you asked me was the stair climber.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes in life is like the stair climber. And the amount of times that I wanted to give up, I knew physically that I was capable of doing it, right? So there's that physical aspect. Uh, but it was the mental part that was so difficult because I was like, I could give up. I'll just do 10 minutes today. This is when I was like at the 3 minute mark. I could just do 7 more minutes because I felt like 7 minutes away was so long. 15 minutes away was even longer. Like 3 to 15 on the stair climber feels like forever. But then it's like, I didn't get up here on the stair climber to go for 3 minutes. Didn't get up here to step on the stairs for 6 minutes. I got up in here with a goal that I was going to complete 15 minutes of stair climbing. And so when I got to the end of that, it was one of the most refreshing feelings getting off the stair climber, getting one of those wipes to wipe it down. And you just feel internally, you feel accomplished. Like you feel like you've done something. And all it is that you just accomplished the goal that you set.
Yeah.
There was nothing grand about it. It was just like, I'm going to do. No one else in that gym said, Steven or Finn, hey, go and do 15 minutes of stair climber. No, I told myself I was. I think and this was a question I had for you earlier. So that falls under that discipline. I have a question for you. Do you think that discipline or a lack of having discipline falls under a weakness, or not necessarily a weakness, but an area that could be worked on within mental health? Do you think having a lack of discipline stems from some degree of mental health? Do you feel like, because, and the reason I'm asking this is maybe the context of the question is more so the fact that mental health has been stereotyped, has been identified as crazy or just anxiety, depression, like the major ones that we talk about that we all experience at some point, and whether it's for a longer period of time or a
It,
short
it
period of
becomes
time.
trendy.
Yes, so it becomes exactly. But I think that, and this is just again my personal opinion, there are a lot of different. There's different. I don't want to say dialects, but there's different forms, different style guides of mental health. Having the lack of motivation or having a lack of strong discipline to get through 15 minutes of stair climber, do you feel like, and you could disagree with me, you can share however you feel like, I just want to know, do you feel like having that lack of motivation or discipline falls under that mental health umbrella, as far as like it's coming from here? And is that a reflection of how you respond to other things, like a lack of discipline in your job, a lack of discipline in your education, a lack of discipline in a relationship? Because that's another one that a lot of people probably don't talk about. But like cheating is something that people do. Adultery is something that people do. And I'm not trying to call anybody out, but that is, unfortunately, people do have a lack of discipline and act on that. So do you feel like there is a piece of mental health that, or sorry, does discipline and lack of discipline fall underneath the umbrella of mental health?
I mean, I think it all ties together. Like, if you really think about it, some of the so okay, discipline discipline, if you really break it down into its basic form, discipline is actually mental toughness. It's not really about doing the same thing over and over again. In theory, doing the same thing over and over again is easy. Like, you just do it, right? But it's having that mental toughness to be able to combat the negative thoughts that arise in your head. And so to me, when somebody's asking like, hey, what, I don't even know how to be disciplined. What does that even mean? That, like, you're just so frustrated. You don't even know like where to start, where to begin. So to me, it just makes sense to build on one thing. So what's one thing I can control immediately within my reach, within my grasp? Going for a walk for 20 minutes. I'm physically getting my heart rate up. And if I go for a walk for 20 minutes multiple times a week for X amount of years, are you saying that I'm not going to lose weight over time? You're going to lose weight over time. The part that becomes hard is saying, all right, well, it is raining outside, so maybe I won't have time. Just forget about it. Unfortunately, human beings, we have this thought process that if we can't do it perfectly, then there's no reason to try at all. But that's not true. You can still try even though you're not perfect. We aren't perfect. We're never going to be perfect. We just have to pursue to just honestly get better. And if you find that mental toughness physically doing something every day, then you take away that mental toughness and you can contribute it to all the other things in your life. Because if I had that mental toughness physically, it gave me the mental toughness that I needed to get through nursing school. And nursing school was mentally one of the toughest things that I've ever had to deal with. That mental toughness now leads into, in 2019, I walked out of a relationship that, I wasn't sure I was capable of walking out of. But it's like it gave me a understanding that, hey, I need to step, even though I'm not sure why I feel this way, I need to step in faith with this. And it's led me to one of the happiest relationships that I've been in ever since. So everything in your life touches. So do I think that discipline is like easy to accomplish? No, I think discipline is basically trying to develop the mental toughness to continue doing the same thing over and over and over again. But it all intertwines and intersects. If you look at somebody who is disciplined with their money, then I can say they're probably disciplined or clean with their house. And it ties into other aspects. It's not just like you're disciplined in one area and in other areas you're not disciplined. You're disciplined in almost every single area because everything builds upon each other. It's called habit stacking.
Right. No, and I mean the reason I asked, and I appreciate what you said, because I feel like there is such a lack of knowledge of what mental health actually is, and I say mental health, but it's the mentality that we have. You say mental toughness. Well, getting over anxiety and depression is a mental tough thing to do.
Yeah, it
So
is.
that's why I feel like we categorize what mental health is, and we don't really know. Like, I feel like somebody who gives up, like myself, like I could have easily given up on the stair climber. That is a lack of discipline because it's a mental tough thing. But my health, okay. I'm gonna give you a physical health example, and it kind of maybe it'll help kind of bring forth the mental health part. Go to the gym and
Mhm.
you try to go pick up, like, okay, I probably, well, at some point in my life I'll be able to do it, but if I were to go in the gym right now, picking up 100-pound dumbbell is like, I'm not there yet. But doing something over and over again, right, working
Yep.
towards it and strengthening that muscle, eventually you'll be able to pick up 100-pound dumbbell. I feel like that's with mental health. Mental health is being able to pick up, because we try to do 100-pound dumbbells with our mental. Man, I'm trying to make this. I'm trying to explain what I feel like mental health is, in a sense where we have just made it about, oh, this person's clinic. It's all clinical. I don't think it's all clinical. I think people just genuinely, like, a lack of motivation to go grocery shopping or to do dishes or to do laundry or to help out with their brother or sister. It's
So
just mental health.
you almost feel like it's more of a crutch than actually like people are using it more as a crutch, as a like a reason to not do things like the
No, that could be a whole other topic of discussion. I'm more
oh,
so
okay.
speaking on
Okay.
the fact that, would you, so we say mental health.
Yeah,
Mental unhealthy isn't just depression. It's not just anxiety.
it's more than
Mentally
that.
unhealthy is you knowing you need to do something, or you need to go work out, but you don't want to. Or mentally unhealthy is where it's, I don't want to say it's weak, but it's being weak. It's not allowing yourself to grow or to be prosperous or to get out of your comfort zone. Because if you're not going to go to the gym and work out, you're never going to pick up that 100-pound dumbbell the way that you want to, because you are not putting in the time and
Well,
effort to work at it. If you don't put the time and the effort to work on your depression or your anxiety or whatever other, and those are like two really common ones, but there's other mental health things out there that people have that we either slave to because we don't know how to talk about it, or it's we don't give ourselves time to actually navigate. Like, when you and I go to the gym, if you go to the gym and you start working out, 30 days from now you probably will find yourself being in much better shape than you did the first day. If you take 30 days and do things to practice on your mental health, the mental toughness, the mental mindset that we have, 30 days later, I guarantee it will be very different. It's like when Cassandra and I started going to, I'm trying to give another example.
so and so like I definitely agree with you about like, you know, taking that accountability and just like looking at mental health. And that's why I had mentioned it earlier. I was just like, mental health is essentially just mental toughness. And if you even want to get even more deeper, so to speak, it's mental endurance. Like a lot of the things that we go through in life in terms of like anxiety or depression, it's developing that mental toughness and endurance so that way you can endure past that
Yes,
anxiety ridden
I'm just trying to.
episode.
You're nailing it. It's
Yeah,
basically when you think of health, you think of eating right, you think of exercising, right? Like that's like health, like keeping your body in shape and in tune. But like if we don't do that with our minds, our mental health. Like this is the battery example that I was going to explain. When you drain your battery, right? Your battery's going to die or your phone isn't going to have any life. So when you have your phone and you just let it sit all day long and the battery dies, there's no more life in this phone.
no more power.
No more power. Mental health, people who break down have mental breakdowns. Okay, this is going to be an entirely different topic again, but people who have mental breakdowns are people who have not given themselves enough grace. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being a little harsh here, but what I'm saying is it's that people who have a hard time or reach that 0%, that 10%, it's because they haven't done anything. Maybe they haven't had the resources or the strength to go out and find a way to recharge, to get from 0 back to 100. I'm not saying anybody's going to get from 0 to 100 overnight. That's not what I'm saying. But when you are looking to be healthier, if you're looking to be more focused on a muscle group physically, it's the same concept with, I feel like, mental health. I want to overcome this. I've got to be strong. I have that, like you said, the endurance, and we neglect it. We cut it short. I don't think that we really know what mental health is besides, oh, because you're depressed, you have mental health issues. Oh, you have, and see, there's a difference between clinically proven and you just having like the mental health. God, see, this is the thing. Mental health, I feel like mental endurance is so much better of a word because mental health, there are clinical parts of it, but then there's actually like just the day-to-day things like the lack of motivation. It's raining outside. Like you said, it's raining outside. What do we do? Nothing. Because you know what? I can't do it. So now you have given in and you're weak to your mind, not realizing that all you got to do is you could walk in place for 20
So,
minutes.
though
You
I
know,
guess
maybe I'm just,
I guess the one thing I'll kind of like just try to like add in because I think I get what you're trying to say. It's not necessarily a weakness. It's just not having that mental endurance, and you're just basically succumbing to those negative thoughts that fill your head. And what it really comes down to is we have to understand that there is no such thing as perfection. So for somebody who's anxious, it's easy for a lot of people that don't deal with that anxiety to say, "Hey, just stop being anxious." Oh, no. Yeah, thank you, Sherlock. If I could just magically stop feeling the way that I felt, then I would just magically stop it. What we have to come to realize is, you know, Finn, have you ever been angry before?
yes.
Have you ever been sad?
Yep.
Have you ever been anxious?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever like have you ever been happy? Have you ever been in love?
Yeah.
All
Of
these
course.
things, every single one of us, we have that spectrum of emotions. We all experience those things. So a lot of the time when I say mental toughness or mental endurance is in those moments of anxiety or depression. Now it's like, all right, my brain has now identified that the last time I felt this way, this is how I mentally handled it. This is how I mentally got over it last time. So now I'm going to lean on the experience that I had from last time, and I can use this for the next stage or whatever next challenge that comes into my life. And that's really what and mental health, mental endurance, mental toughness, that's to me what its most valuable usage is. It's to give you experience when you've dealt or felt or gone through an emotional state that you can handle it a little bit better for the next time it comes through. And of course, there are going to be some people that aren't ever going to handle it differently or better or never learn from it. And unfortunately, that's on them. But if you're faced with the same test over and over again, it is your job to find a way to get past it, to learn it, to understand it. So
Right.
you're oftentimes in life, it's not that we have bad things happen to us. It's that life keeps on giving us the same exam over and over again, and we keep failing. So if you're able to identify these things and actually just take time and be like, all right, this is how I felt for last time. I can use this for this time. It's everything touches and intertwines with everybody. You just have to take the time to realize it. If I have a salad and something healthy before I go to bed, I'm going to wake up full of a little bit more of energy. If I decide to drink a whole bottle of wine right before I go to bed, then chances are I'm going to wake up tired. It's just basic things, understanding that if I do this, then this is going to be the possible like
Yeah,
outcome.
there's
And
a
then
cause and effect.
you grow on that. That's really what it like to me. And I know that it like, and I hate it because I don't want to make it sound like it's so simple, but it's just something that we have to be mindful of. We have to think about that.
Right. Well, and I don't want anybody to think that that's like what today's episode is like, focusing on like discriminating or discounting or devaluing people's mental health, because mental health, if I'm really going to be honest, I think is in different. There's different stages, different degrees of it, and I want to talk about the mental health because I feel like there's you have mental. Okay, it's like the word car. Okay, you have car. But within car, you have SUV, you have truck, you have coupe, you have hatchback. Then amongst that, you have the different brands of vehicles. Okay. Mental health is like the car. In mental health, there are different categories,
Spectrum.
different styles or spectrum styles of mental health. And the mental health that we're talking about isn't because you have dementia. That's mental health because your brain, unfortunately, is literally declining. And my grandmother has it, and it's not fun watching someone go through that at all. So there are mental health conditions that you just can't fix. There are people who have schizophrenia. There are people who deal with, fecal alcohol syndrome. Fecal. Oh shoot. Fetal, not fecal. Sorry, fecal is something totally different. But fetal alcohol syndrome. You know what? That person did not choose. I actually know some young adults who've had that were born with fetal alcohol syndrome because of the choices somebody else made. I get it. I'm not discriminating mental health as a whole. What I wanted to do and what I would like to focus on is the mental health that we have control over, the things that aren't trendy. We're not trying to make anxiety trendy, a panic attack trendy. It's not trendy. It's not. For all the young adults who listen to this show, it's not trendy. Pulling that, oh my God, I'm so anxious card is not going to help you. You have to be able to build endurance. Yes, acknowledge that you have an issue at hand. Yes, acknowledge that you're anxious. Acknowledge you're going through something. But that doesn't mean that you just sit on it and make an excuse for yourself, or maybe you don't want to change because it feels good to be in this place. And if that is the case, then by all means, I don't want you to feel like you have to change because of what I'm saying or what Adler's saying. I more so just feel like people categorize every single thing into one bubble called mental health and don't realize that there are things that we can actually do to actually build that endurance, to get through difficult mental moments. And I can tell you that I'm speaking this from my own personal experience. Like I would like for you to know, like I'm somebody who was adopted, somebody who put my parents through a lot of emotional, physical, spiritual, mental turmoil because I had my own turmoil I was going through. And then I felt like at one point I had separation anxiety because most kids who do go through, adoption, they have that for some time, but you grow out of it because you have to build endurance. I got sick and tired of leaning on that and saying, I'm like this. I'm always going to be this way. I'm always going to be sad. I'm always going to be angry. Like that doesn't do me any justice. And I look back now in my life only to see how far I've come. And the fact that I am somebody who is happy, I have my occasional sad days. There's my occasional upset days. There's occasional days I'm
As we
like,
all do. Yeah,
because
we're
I'm
human.
human. But
Yeah.
that's the part that is missing, is that we don't know anymore. We forgot how to connect with other human beings and saying, wow, you struggle with that? So did I. Or so did I, or so do I. Whichever, if you're in it, then you're in it. Embody it, embrace it, but do something about it. Like I could have sat on my adoption story and been like self-pitying myself, and it would have really honestly probably messed me up. I would probably not be where I am today. And I don't know that because I can't determine how my journey is now. It's already happened. But
Yep.
what I'm trying to get at is that every single one of us has something we can do to build ourselves to be stronger. Again, I'm not here to disvalue or devalue anybody's personal experience that they're going through or have gone through. The thing is that if you're sensitive to it in the manner of, oh, he's talking bad about it, then you have it all wrong. Because quite frankly, I'm literally just addressing the fact that we as humans just have to find a way to recognize what's going on in our life. Why do I even have anxiety? I think that's the thing. People don't even know why they have anxiety. They just have anxiety. And it's like, where is that coming from? Are you stressed about your job? Are you going through a bad breakup? Did you lose your home? Did you lose your child? Did you go bankrupt? Did you get fired from a job? Did someone cheat on you? Did you fail out of a class? Did you not pass an exam? Did you find out that your mom or your family member or anybody has some medical condition that's come up now? Like, there are so many things that you can say. But the last thing that I want to just say right now, before I know we're going on a rampage here, but mental health, it really isn't a taboo thing. We've made it taboo because it's maybe our way of trying to be comfortable talking about it. But then we need to talk about it in a way where it actually helps people. Because this is one little mind-boggling thing for me personally. If mental health seems to be the focus in the 21st century, whether that is through social media versus through email, maybe through applications like apps on your phone, or maybe through books, then why are we still struggling with a mental health pandemic? Why are we still struggling with mental health issues? Why do we stereotype mental health? If there was healing, then we should be seeing an increase, or we just don't talk about it because we don't want to acknowledge that people are growing. So to me, it is very mind-boggling, and I don't want this to be at all in any shape or form saying that mental health isn't real. I just don't think that we're really living up to it's there. We're just making it taboo. Let's try to be comfortable with it because that's the only way to do it. Stop tiptoeing around it. We got to stop tiptoeing around mental health. We got to just dive right through the hedge and talk about it. Because like you said, Adler, you said it the best way. It's that mental endurance. I feel like that word is that the way of saying mental health, that is way more connecting with people, less negatively sounding, and people can actually understand, wow, mental endurance, that's right. I could be less anxious if I knew that I found the source and I did something about it and I actively worked towards overcoming it. Then you would overcome anxiety. You could actually break through. You don't have to be stuck and make it your excuse, your day-to-day in and out. I'm not saying it in a bad way excuse, but that's what we do, humans. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings, but you're making an excuse for yourself. I did it. I'm going to say it. I did it. I used to say anxiety. Oh, I'm stuck with anxiety. Oh no, what am I going to do? My life is so hard. Let me blame everybody else for it. But that wasn't getting me anywhere. And I can keep going on, but I'm just saying, like, we have to.
So basically, once you took accountability for some of the stuff that you felt, then you realize that it's not necessarily on the perfection aspect. It's not about being perfect. It's about understanding that it's okay to be here, but you don't have to stay here. You can
Correct. I think, yes. I think people feel they are permanent. Once they have anxiety or have experienced anxiety, it's a permanent forever. I'm never going to leave. No, you can leave. You just have to be strong enough, build the endurance, like you said, Adler, and overcome. I don't want to sound like I'm insensitive. I just have my strong take on it because I've been there and I've experienced it. And I'm sure millions of other people have. Adler, you've had your moments. You've had a lot of experiences in your life that I'm sure you are probably like, whoa, man, I'm thinking about it as he's saying this. But I just want people to walk away from today's episode not pissed off at me, more so just realizing, damn, what he said makes sense, but it's kind of crazy how harsh he's being about it. But it's because I care about people in that manner. Mental health is so neglected, and it's frustrating that we just try to make it comfortable, but it's not going to be comfortable in the beginning. Working out on the
Yeah.
stair climber is not comfortable. It's my first or second day on it. But guess what? I'm sure in a couple of weeks from now, it will be easier, and then I'll increase the amount of minutes I'll do it. I don't just say, oh, I can't ever do stair climber more than 15 minutes because it's so difficult right now. You got to get past that. You got to understand that we are so capable of doing so many things that we probably, if we had more time on Earth, we would actually fulfill. But because we only have 90 years or so on average, then we have to 80. Is it 80 years?
I think it's like 79 is the average. 80 to 79. It's like the average range right now. Before it was at 67. And most black men die at 72 if you look at the statistics. I looked them up. Yeah, I know. But no, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right, man. Like, there is an accountability component that comes with mental health. And if you're not, here's the truth, right? What happened to you was completely unfair. What emotional, traumatic thing that you are going through, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, it's not fair. It's not fair what happens to you. It's not fair that you feel the way that you do. But at the same time, it is now still your responsibility to manage those emotions. And if those emotions and those things that you went through in your past start to affect how your future looks, I think you owe yourself the due diligence just to take the time and to say, hey, it's okay not to be okay, but I need to figure this out because I can't just give up. Giving up isn't an option. You have to keep fighting. You have to keep going. And sometimes it takes physically getting into the gym like early in the morning and finishing that, and that gives you that momentum that you need in order to build a habit.
Oh, I need LA Fitness to be open at like 3 then, because I would like to go to the gym early in the morning. I feel like that's really a great way.
It opens at 5.
Yeah, but I'm usually up at 5. By the time I get to work, it's only an hour, and it's not. I don't think it's gonna be enough time for me to do it.
That's true. Or you can just cut it down to just 20 minutes. Remember how
maybe I could bring my scrubs with me,
and then you just shower at the gym. Remember how I just told you if people just don't do things because it doesn't seem like the perfect situation and perfect scenario? You can make it work.
I just became an example. I just became an example, guys. I just became an example.
You can really make it work. You don't necessarily have to do an hour. You just got to let me just do 15 minutes on the, the stair climbers, and let me do 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, and then call it a day and go shower. I bet you that if you did that more consistently, you're going to still find ways to lose weight if you did that consistently for a year. You're not going to not lose weight. You're not going to not physically get stronger. Like, it just really comes down to just simply just finding a way to make it work for you instead of finding all the excuses to say, this is why it doesn't work. You can give 1,000 reasons why something doesn't work. You can give 1,000 critiques on a problem, but unless you offer a solution, it's like you have no right to complain. You have to take that like challenge and like embrace it. And I know it's hard, but you're going to be so much better off like actually taking that chance. And I know, like, people will like pay money to go to like conferences and stuff like that, and while they're at the conferences they feel they're on fire and they're like, woo, let's go, and they're pumped and they're gung-ho and they're chasing after it. And while you're at those conferences, or while you're listening to a podcast, or while you're doing certain things, you'll have that emotional, like that high, that surge. But it's really important for you to still navigate those emotions even when you have like good things going on, so that way you can put things into perspective and say, hey, I know that I feel this way now. Let me figure out how to mentally manage my stress when I'm happy, because it's right. An emotional, it's an external stimuli that you're happy. So try to manage it, figure that out. Now that gives you an opportunity to work on something positive. And then whenever something negative happens, it's like, all right, well, this is how I handled my positive emotions. So let me see if I can use that for my negative emotions. It's just trial and error, and then just really taking the time to actually like dive into the most painful, traumatic things that you dealt with.
Right.
But I digress.
Well, No, it's okay, man. But we are reaching that hour mark, and I would say we could keep on going, but my
Let's
mom
end.
wants to talk. She wants to call me, so
Yeah, let's end it.
I
Let's
do
end it.
need.
It's time for you to go
But
call Mama Bear back.
yes, she texted me. She's like, "Hey, how does 4:30 sound?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yes."
Hey
So,
Finn,
but yes,
where can people find this podcast?
not in their mailbox. Maybe someday they'll have something in the mailbox, but you can find us on. Where do we start off with for? Okay, so Instagram, the Best You Nation,
Yep,
literally just the Best You Nation.
correct.
And then we are also on Apple Podcasts. So
Apple
thanks to
Podcast.
all of our Apple Podcast family, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Audible. You literally can name it. We're pretty much everywhere. We're
You
also in
name
the
it, you can
top.
find us.
We're in the top 5 percentile or top forget if it's top 5 or top 13. We're like we're world renowned, so that's great. So make sure to check us out there. And then of course for Adler, oh no, wait, hold on. Website. The
Website. I
website
was about to say you're
is
skipping something.
thebestunation.com.
Yep.
It's a pretty legit website. We've done some really good work there. We have our merch line coming through, our apparel line, I should say, not merch, apparel line. I'm doing some work on the back end to make sure there's some more stuff there. But then you can find Adler at 24 hours in a day on Instagram, right?
Yeah, 24 hours a day on Instagram, and then also Team 24 hours on TikTok. Obviously we have many ways of connecting with you guys, but if you have if you like some of the subjects or some of the things that we talk about, then do us a favor, because you support us and because you think that we're some pretty cool cats over here, right? You share the podcast or share it with somebody. Share it with somebody that needs to brighten up the day. Share it with somebody who's young. Share it with somebody who's ambitious. Share it with somebody who's lack confidence. Just share it. Because honestly, if you actually take the time to, unpack the emotions that you're feeling, and just to hear two guys, regular guys, unpack, their own emotions and their own stuff, and to try to figure it out, even though we don't have all the answers. We're not licensed professionals, but what we will tell you is what we're going through and what connects us and what allows us to be part of the same race, mankind. So, anyway, enough of that. I hope you guys all have a wonderful week. I hope you guys stay blessed. Have a wonderful start to your year. This is episode 2. Finn, tell them goodbye.
We're out.